What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. Now, some people on Instagram, on the Boxing Ego Instagram, also on YouTube, they were asking me my thoughts on the Ruslan Provodnikov versus Manny Pacquiao. Others were assuming what I thought about it, even though I know what I say. Like I said, when I make these videos, I'm careful what I say, and I know the words that are coming out of my mouth. So some people try to make up their own scenarios and run with shit. But I'll clear the air, let you know my thoughts on Manny Pacquiao versus Ruslan Provodnikov. First, let me start off by saying this. If I've followed boxing and I know Manny Pacquiao's career, like I think I know his career, he's going to fight Ruslan Provodnikov. That's what I see. Nothing against him, nothing against Freddie Roach, but it just, all the cards are in it. As far as Pacquiao in his career, throughout his career, due to the history, especially in recent memory, he's always been susceptible to the pure boxer. So even though a lot of people thought he beat Timothy Bradley, again, I swear to you guys, I literally have watched that fight like 1.5 times. It just wasn't that great of a performance from either fight. There were spots where Pacquiao looked good, but he was fighting for portions of the round. He wasn't fighting full 3-minute rounds. He was flurrying towards the last minute and a half in some rounds. Bradley's ankles were hurt, so it wasn't his best performance. He was getting beat up early. Then he started winning the championship rounds. It just wasn't one of those fights that made me want to revisit. Now, I've watched Pacquiao versus Rios multiple times. I watched Rios Alvarado multiple times. Timothy Bradley Ruslan multiple times. Mayweather and Canelo multiple times. Nonito and Rigondeaux multiple times. These are fights that interested me and made me want to have at least a second viewing. But for whatever reason, the Timothy Bradley, I just didn't watch it several times like some of the other fights, just because, again, it wasn't that great of a performance from either, in my opinion. I've seen Timothy Bradley look better, and I've seen Pacquiao look better. Pacquiao, hell, he looked better in his fight with Brandon Rios. So I really think he's going to pick Ruslan Provodnikov. It sounds like everything behind closed doors is already done, like a done deal. I mean, we went from hearing a guy, a stablemate, saying, I don't want to fight Pacquiao, to within a few months or a month later saying, oh, I rethought about it, and why should I turn down the offer? So it sounds like they've already presented him with the offer. They're probably finalizing it. They said this weekend we should know who Pacquiao's facing. And another reason why I think that Team Pacquiao is going to shoot for the Ruslan Provodnikov fight is because it's a fight where you really know what to expect. Not that it's not a tough fight, because I think it is, because I think Ruslan's tough. But truth be told, Ruslan is there to be hit. He comes with one mission: relentless pressure. He has a chin. He's not really a speedster. He looks like he fatigues in portions of the rounds. Plus, they've sparred the dude before. So Team Pacquiao probably knows what to expect from him. Unless he's just so much improved from the fights with Mike Alvarado and then Timothy Bradley, they kind of know what to expect. Versus a fight with Timothy Bradley, that could be a bad look for Pacquiao, because the first one was already controversial. Plus, Timothy Bradley has looked pretty good in his last fight with Marquez, and he showed he has a chin. Pacquiao hasn't really been putting people away since the Cotto fight. He hasn't knocked anyone out or stopped anyone. So we don't know if Pacquiao's power is still what it once was when he was fighting guys like Barrera and Eric Morales. So to me, the more dangerous fight for Pacquiao, the one where Pacquiao has the greater chance of looking bad, is a fight with Timothy Bradley, because he's more or less the smarter fighter. He didn't show it in the Ruslan Provodnikov fight, but when he's on his game and when he fights the right type of fight, he can cause you to miss. He can slip punches. He has a better defense, and he could make it ugly and awkward for Pacquiao. And I think Bob Arum, I think Top Rank, they realize this. Pacquiao, he's really one fight removed from 2 losses, possibly 3, if you consider the Juan Manuel Marquez Pacquiao Part 3 a robbery. Some people thought Marquez won that fight, me included, and Roy Jones Jr., Abner Mares, and a bunch of other people. I think Al Bernstein all said that they had Marquez winning in the third fight as well. So Marquez third fight, then the Timothy Bradley fight, then he got knocked out by Marquez. So technically that's two, maybe three. In the third one, obviously Marquez 3 is questionable, depending on, because he actually won the fight on paper, depending on who he spoke to. So he's only one fight removed from that, and that was a dominant performance against Brandon Rios, who was coming up in weight. So, in my opinion, Pacquiao can't really afford to take another loss, because in his last 3 or 4 fights, how many losses will that be if he takes another loss? So I think they're going with more or less the straightforward, we know what the fuck you're gonna do, brawler style, who tends to fatigue. The only downside to this is it's still a hell of a fight, and Pacquiao's still going to have to work for it, because as long as Ruslan Provodnikov is not taking a dive, or as long as Ruslan Provodnikov is not, I guess, fighting light or like playing easy, based on the fact that him and Pacquiao are friends, as long as he's really trying to win, this is a tough fight, because again, Pacquiao hasn't stopped anybody for since the Cotto fight. Ruslan has given people problems at 147, like Timothy Bradley. 140, he destroyed Mike Alvarado in the later rounds. So if Pacquiao gets tired from keeping him off, it could be ugly for Pacquiao, because that's when Ruslan has the ability to come on. He hurt Bradley in the 12th round, as late as the 12th round, so you know his power carries, and Bradley was doing some great work in the middle rounds, and Bradley was hurt multiple times in that fight. So we know his power is still there, and he was getting beat up again sometimes in the middle of the Timothy Bradley fight, taking some steam off, getting some body shots and stuff like that, and he still was able to drop Timothy Bradley to his knee. And then same thing with Mike Alvarado. Mike Alvarado looked better early, and then as the fight wore on, he just wore Alvarado down. So if Pacquiao runs into that problem, he could run into a brick wall if he can't discourage Ruslan from coming forward. Now again, Ruslan is there to be hit. I've seen Ruslan's face after his last 2 fights, and it was fucked. It looked like fucking. You ever eat an apple and then you take a bite and then just leave it out, and then it just gets all brown and wilted looking? That's how fucking Ruslan's face was after his last 2 fights. So if he can withstand that and deal with the speed early and come on late like he has in other fights, then it could be a hellacious fight where he does have a shot to win. On paper, stylistically, Pacquiao has all the tools to beat that style, and he typically looks better against that style. But we are thinking of more or less vintage Pacquiao. So it's a good fight. I would bet, just the safe bet, not go against Pacquiao, and I would pick Pacquiao to beat Ruslan Provodnikov. But Ruslan's not out of it. It's not. It's a winnable fight for him if he has the right mindset and he doesn't fatigue. He tries to work on his stamina and that kind of stuff, and he really wants it. So it's a good fight, and that's the downside to Top Rank running out of opponents. Is now Pacquiao's really left with 2 fights, and they're both difficult. So there's not really anywhere to run or to turn. I think they're difficult for different reasons. Ruslan's difficult because the sheer pressure and the punching power, the brute force, and Pacquiao has been knocked out in recent memory. So if he really comes guns blazing, he could really hurt Pacquiao. If you look at the end of the Brandon Rios fight, let's be clear and let's be honest. In the Brandon Rios fight, I really sincerely thought Brandon Rios was going to at least give Pacquiao problems, and he really didn't. I don't recall any round at all that I even remotely scored for Brandon Rios. This is just my scorecard. And at the end of the fight, I seen Pacquiao in some pictures, and his face looked like beat up. And I'm like, damn, like his face looked really red. If I can find it before I submit this video and upload it online, I will put it. But after the Rios fight, I was amazed that Pacquiao's face looked tattered. It looked like he had been in a fight. And that was shocking to me, because I don't even remember Brandon Rios really even landing anything. So, again, not a good look. Pacquiao is not a person who's relying on defense. So if he slowed down a bit, it's not necessarily a good look, but it's a winnable fight for both fighters. And Timothy Bradley is a difficult fight just based on how smart Timothy Bradley is, the confidence of beating Pacquiao on paper, and the confidence of beating Marquez. And Marquez should have been at an all-time high when he fought Bradley because he just knocked out his nemesis, which was Pacquiao. So either way, I think both are difficult fights, and I'm okay with either fight. To be honest, I don't care who Pacquiao fights out of those two because they're both good fights to me for different reasons. So let me know if you guys like the fight, if you hate the fight, who do you want to see, who do you think Pacquiao will pick. Again, if I know anything about Pacquiao and his prior selections, I think he's going to go with the fighter who is easier to read and doesn't really have the potential to outbox him or embarrass him in that regard. The only way Ruslan will embarrass Pacquiao is if he hurts him or stops him or knocks him out. Whereas Bradley can make him look bad, which in turn could definitely hurt Pacquiao's future and his career and that kind of stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Pacquiao versus Ruslan, hell of a fight. I like it. Obviously, Bradley deserves it too. And it'll be a good fight to clear the air, set the record straight. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.